Hare Krishna. It's October 15th, 2025. And we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 9, entitled Mother Yashoda Binds Lord Krishna. And we're studying text 5. So this is 10, 9, 5. Okay. 10, 9, 5. Okay. Tam Ankam Arudham Apayayat Stanam Snehasnutam Sasmitam Ikshati Mukham Atriptam Utsrija Javena Sa Yayav Utsichamane Payasi Tvadishrite Mankamarudamapayayatstanam Snehasnutam Sasmitam Ikshati Mukham Atriptam Utsrija Javena Sayayav Utsichamane Payasi Tvadishrite Tam Ankamarudam Apayayatstanam Snehasnutam Sasmitam Ikshati Mukham Atriptam Utsrija Javena Sayayav Utsichamane Payasi Tvadishrite Tam Ankamarudam Apayayatstanam Snehasnutam Sasmitam Ikshati Mukham Atriptam Utsrija Javena Sayayav Utsichamane Payasi Tvadishrite Tam Ankamarudam Apayayatstanam Snehasnutam Sasmitam Ikshati Mukham Atriptam Utsrija Javena Sayayav Utsichamane Payasi Tvadishrite Tam Ankamarudam Apayayatstanam Snehasnutam Sasmitam Ikshati Mukham Triptam Utsrija Javena Sayayav Utsichamane Payasi Tvadishrite
Tam Ankamarudam Apayayatstanam
Tam Ankamarudam Apayayatstanam
Snehasnutam Sasmitam Ikshati Mukham
Snehasnutam Sasmitam Ikshati Mukham
Atriptam Utsrija Javena Sayayav
Atriptam Utsrija Javena Sayayav
Utsi chamane payasi tvadishrite.
Utsi chamane payasi tvadishrite.
Tam ankamarudamapayayatstanam.
Tam ankamarudamapayayatstanam.
Snehasnutam sasmitam ikshati mukham.
Snehasnutam sasmitam ikshati mukam.
Atriptam utshriva javena shayaya.
Atriptam utsrija javena sayayav.
Uchichyamane payashit fadishrite.
Utsi chamane payasi tvadishrite. Tam unto Krishna. Ankam arudham. Very affectionately allowing him to sit down on her lap. Apayayat. Allowed to drink. Stanam. Her breast. Sneha snutam. Which was flowing with milk because of intense affection. Sasmitam ikshati mukam. Mother Yashoda was smiling and observing the smiling face of Krishna. Atriptam, Krishna, who was still not fully satisfied by drinking the milk. Utsrija, putting him aside. Javena, very hastily. Sa, Mother Yashoda, Yayao, left that place. Utsichamane payasi, because of seeing that the milk was overflowing. Two, but adishrite, in the milk pan on the oven. Translation. Mother Yashoda then embraced Krishna, allowed him to sit down on her lap, and began to look upon the face of the Lord with great love and affection. Because of her intense affection, milk was flowing from her breast. But when she saw that the milk pan on the oven was boiling over, she immediately left her son to take care of the overflowing milk, although the child was not yet fully satisfied with drinking the milk of his mother's breast. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Everything in the household affairs of Mother Yashoda was meant for Krishna. Although Krishna was drinking the breast milk of Mother Yashoda, when she saw that the milk pan in the kitchen was overflowing, she had to take care of it immediately, and thus she left her son, who then became very angry, not having been fully satisfied with drinking the milk of her breast. Sometimes one must take care of more than one item of important business for the same purpose. Prabhupada's addressing the multitasking phenomena. Sometimes one must take care of more than one item of important business for the same purpose. Therefore, Mother Yashoda was not unjust when she left her son to take care of the overflowing milk. On the platform of love and affection, it is the duty of the devotee to do one thing first and other things later. The proper intuition by which to do this is given by Krishna, Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10, text 10. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam pritipurvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yenamam upayanti te. In Krishna consciousness, everything is dynamic. Krishna guides the devotee in what to do first and what to do next on the platform of absolute truth. Om Ganatimirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Upakadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Saganaragnatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Brijana Sahitan Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamascha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagat Pate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radhakanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gauranghe Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakalpati Yubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha Patitanan Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Sarasvati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasvatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should first offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayan, to Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Sarasvati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Prayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavat Utamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 9, Text 5. Tam Ankamarudam Ampayayatstanam Snehasnutam Sasmitam Ikshati Mukam Atriptam Utsrija Javena Sayayav Utsichamane Payasi Tvadishrite. Mother Yashoda then embraced Krishna, allowed him to sit down on her lap, and began to look upon the face of the Lord with great love and affection. Because of her intense affection, milk was flowing from her breast. But when she saw that the milk pan on the oven was boiling over, she immediately left her son to take care of the overflowing milk, although the child was not yet fully satisfied with drinking the milk of his mother's breast. Hare Krishna. Okay, so we have descriptions here of a mother and her son, and we know as the pastime goes on. By the way, this is chapter 9. About a week ago or so, yeah, we read chapter 9 in Krishna book, and so this is just some basic history. So Srila Prabhupada, he started translating and publishing Bhagavatam when he was in India in the early 60s. And he published the 3 volumes of the first canto, came to the United States with that. He had the rupee equivalent of $7, and he had a trunk full of Srimad Bhagavatams. And then of course he gave us Bhagavad Gita and teachings of Lord Chaitanya, and he was doing systematically Srimad Bhagavatam. And he wasn't certain how long in co-creation between Krishna and himself his manifest pastimes would go on, and he wanted to. And so he didn't know if he would complete the systematic presentation of Srimad Bhagavatam with the Sanskrit and the word meanings and the translations and the purports. And so he wanted to make sure we had the 10th canto, the pastimes of Krishna, and thus 1970, he gave us Krishna book, which is the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam in narrative form. And actually, it was the funding of that in 1970 was funded by George Harrison. He gave a $19,000 donation, $19,000 in 1970 money, and for publishing Krishna book. And so about a week ago we read Krishna book, this chapter, and then Srila Prabhupada, he gave us systematically with purports and word for word, 2nd canto, 3rd, 4th, through the 9th canto. And then there in 1977, he was giving us the 10th canto, and then his departure pastime happened on November 14th, 1977. and he was absorbed in these pastimes, specifically chapter 13 of that's Lord Brahma stealing the calves and the cowherd boys. And so this so Srila Prabhupada's giving this just days before his departure pastime. So just like for the pure devotee like Srila Prabhupada or Jesus, technically we won't say death or birth. We say appearance and disappearance, because it's a conscious co-creation with God for the mission of saving fallen souls, the mission of purifying our heart. So similarly, with the pastimes of Sri Krishna, the pastimes of God, that this is not mundane, this is not ordinary. We hear the pastimes in the 10th canto or any place, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita. And so, because we can hear about parent and child, we can hear about romantic lovers, we can hear about all sorts of adventurous pastimes, chivalrous pastimes with fighting, and okay, like all those types of relationships that we endeavor to have and get enjoyment from. So that it's Krishna described in Bhagavad Gita, Janma karma chame divyam evam yoveti taktvidayam punarjanma neti mamapti sarjuna. Krishna says if one actually realizes, understands experientially the transcendental nature of the birth, of the appearance, disappearance, and activities of myself and my pure devotees, then that realization itself is liberating. So it's just like these pastimes of, okay, Mother Yashoda feeding Krishna. A little later, there was some humorous effect last week, hearing when Krishna gets angry at Mother Yashoda, he breaks the pot, takes the butter, feeds the monkeys, goes to the neighbors' homes. When he can't get their butter, he urinates on the floor. Okay, all sorts of activities like this. Okay, so and so then we can hear about all sorts of activities and just different mundane, ordinary books and shows and movies and like that, and we're getting more and more entangled in the material context. Here, though, we hear Krishna's name, Krishna's pastimes, which can, in our Bhagavad Gita course, we're in the 9th chapter, Avajananti Mamuda Tanushim Tanum Ashrita Bhajanti Mama Bhuta Maheshwara Avajananti Mamuda Manu Bhuta. That Krishna says it's foolishness to think that his pastimes are ordinary. He's choosing to come into the prison house. He's choosing to relate to the gopis and Mother Yashoda and his cowherd boyfriends, and he's not forced by the modes of material nature. So any exposure to the pastimes and form and name and qualities and entourage of Krishna and his pure devotees, that purifies us. And that's how we can experience, okay, there's chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. It's qualitatively different experience than listening to some pop song. Reading these pastimes, qualitatively different experience than reading some mundane novel. Krishna's form. And so we're encouraged, in order to enhance our process to develop love of God and to realize who we are as spirit, soul, not the body, to maximize our contact with Krishna's name, Krishna's form, Krishna's pastimes, like that. And now Srila Prabhupada here, he's really talking about transcendental management. He's talking about management. So Mother Yashoda, so she's feeding Krishna. But then there's the milk. So then she makes a choice. I'm going to attend to the boiling milk. There's like something happening here. And so Prabhupada's making the point that, well, she's not to be faulted because she's boiling the milk. Why? To please Krishna. It's all for Krishna. It's all for Krishna. And so, yeah, so these are, so this is real history. This is the Bhagavatam's real history. And let's note the Bhagavatam, this is this is compiled by the great sage Vyasadeva. It's spoken by the 16-year-old teenager saint Shukadeva Goswami. It's and these are personalities with no attraction to anything mundane or anything profane. And so then, yeah, these are like the greatest philosophers. Right? The prayers of Queen Kunti in the 8th chapter of the first canto of Bhagavatam. These are the greatest philosophers, the greatest sages, the greatest renunciates. No attraction to anything grossly or subtly material. Okay, but so then, how come they're talking about Krishna dancing with the gopis? How come they're talking about Krishna playing sports with his cowherd friends? How come they're absorbed in Krishna, Krishna drinking milk from the breast of Mother Yashoda and then getting naughty? They have no interest in any mundane stories. So that's like a proof. That's an evidence that this is nothing mundane. This is completely transcendental, and we absorb in transcendental consciousness by absorbing in these vibrations. So this is real history, just as Bhagavad Gita, it's real history. And also we can and are meant to see personal value, just like Krishna speaking to Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Dhritarashtra Uvacha Dharmakshetra Kurukshetra Samaveta Yutsava Mamakan Pandavastreva Kimakrabata Sanjaya. Dhritarashtra asks Sanjaya, who was viewing the conversation between Krishna and Arjuna. Prabhupada calls it through mystic television. That's a term Prabhupada uses, mystic television. And Sanjaya is seeing the conversation on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. And so Bhagavad Gita starts with Dhritarashtra asking, what did my sons and the sons of Pandu do, gathered there, assembled there on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, prepared to fight? So it's a real historical battle. And simultaneously, we can derive metaphorical meaning. Oh, okay. What is my battle of Kurukshetra? Just like Arjuna had this intense conflicting dilemma. What is my battle of Kurukshetra? What's it look like for me in my life now to pick up my bow and fight, and not to run away to the forest in the name of being spiritual, like that. So similarly, Mother Yashoda, this is real history with Krishna, and at the same time we can look at that. Okay, so that we have our choice points, just like Mother Yashoda has a choice point here, and Prabhupada's he's emphasizing that whatever she's doing, it's just out of love for Krishna, out of love for Krishna, and so we're encouraged to arrange our lives that all of our projects, we're encouraged to all of our recreation time. Recreation isn't to be neglected. Krishna says, Yuktahara viharasya, yukta chestasya karmasu, yukta svapna vabodasya, yoga bhavati dukkha. Krishna says that in this process, yesterday we talked about sleeping, yoga nidra, sleeping, eating, recreation, working. These are all parts of life, to balance them so that we're continually going more and more towards absorption in God consciousness. And so, yeah, so like what to do when. It's, I know in coaching, this is coaching or facilitation, this is just such a immensely common theme, supporting ourselves in self-coaching, supporting others in, like, I'm not sure should I close my business, or should I go back to school, or should I pursue this relationship, or am I going to regret? or yeah, should I rent? Should I own? Or I mean, it's just like what to do, what to do. And so one thing that we're encouraged to more and more, more and more create a life, to be responsible to create a life where all of the possible choices, well, they're all in service to God. They're all in service to Krishna. Like that to at least, that to create a life where at least, yeah, like, well, whatever I'm doing or whatever my choices are, it's more completely in service to God this year than last year, today than yesterday. And Prabhupada's quoting a well-known verse in Bhagavad Gita. It's one of the seed verses of Bhagavad Gita. Mm. Um, yes, that it's actually the verse right after the association verse, where Krishna talks about how his devotees, his followers, and the followers of his pure devotees, matchita, matkata prana paryantas praspramam, katyantas chamam nityam toshanti charamonti chada. Krishna says his followers, his devotees derive great pleasure and delight conversing about me, conversing about Krishna, exchanging, talking about Krishna's philosophy and pastimes. And then Krishna says, Tesam satate yuktanam bhajatam pritipurvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yenamam upiyanti te. So Krishna says, well, he says, like, for one who's sincere, I'll give you from within the heart the intelligence how to come to me. I'll give you the intelligence to make choices and decisions that'll steadily enhance, increase, strengthen, deepen your enthusiasm to serve me with love. So like you might say, our main job is to be sincere, and we're sincere, and we have our intelligence, and to use our intelligence in Krishna's service, and at the same time to not be proud of my intelligence, which, I mean, till now mostly has gotten me illusioned and lost in the ocean of material existence. So that we're sincere, Krishna will give us the intelligence to come to him, to choose wisely, and at least in sattvic gun, if not in pure bhakti consciousness. And then yeah, about what to do with our time, what to do with our morning hours. Just like we must have some Krishna inspired intelligence. Here we are, early morning. For some, it's mid-afternoon. And like, okay, we're spending some time hearing about Krishna and Mother Yashoda and singing Namo Radhikaya Tvadiya Priyaya, singing about Sri Damodarastakam and his dear Srimati Radharani. And then Krishna says in the fourth of the four seed verses, Tesham evanu kamvartam aham agyanajam tamaha nashayam yatma bhavasto ganadipena basvata. Krishna says, I, dwelling in the hearts of the sincere devotees, destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. So basically our suffering comes from ignorance. We're of course, it's not an accident that we're thrown into ignorance, because we wanted to be, because we had some intention to be ignorant of who I am as spirit soul, as my essential dharma is to serve God with love and devotion. And we wanted to try my own personal David Wolf God project. So Krishna reciprocates, Sarvasya Jahamiti Sanivisto Matasmi Tirkanama Poanam Cha. Krishna says, from me come knowledge, remembrance, forgetfulness. So the forgetfulness, that's super soul reciprocating with our desire to go into pretending not to know, ignorance to avoid responsibility, to stand strong and clear in my ultimate dharma, my ultimate contract, to live as righteous, virtuous spirit soul in 100% full participation and service to Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yes, and so yeah, so so Krishna's all, like if we're sincere, Krishna from within the heart, super soul in the heart, he'll destroy the darkness born of ignorance. And then that requires sincerity and willingness to step into the light. Tamasi ma gama, come out of the darkness into the light, and be shining and responsible there. Yeah. So whatever decisions in life, and that so Krishna, he's saying in this verse that Prabhupada quotes, Krishna saying like, I'll give you that guidance. Now, association is important. Everything we do in Safeto, from the courses, foundational advance, Safeto 3, the coaching, the coach training, there's so many techniques, there's actually hundreds of techniques, methods, skills, principles, on and on and on. So what's that about? And so we say like all of the techniques, methods, principles, all of the processes. Actually, just this morning before I came into the temple room before 5 o'clock, I read a letter from someone who's been involved intensely in the Safatov experience since 2006, since she's a teenager, really, and she but she wrote to me that like every process she's experienced, whether it's coaching, she's been through coach training, she said it's everything in Safatov has brought her closer to Sri Sri Radha Krishna. She uses them with capital T. It's brought her closer to her ultimate spiritual life. So I'm going to respond to her later today and saying that touches my heart. And in her sharing, I feel seen. I feel seen because that's the intention, not just some collection of communication skills or something like that. Or let's relate better so we can enjoy our senses more or something like that. But rather everything's meant to create a safe and sacred space. As Srila Rupa Goswami says, Guyam Aketi Prichati, a safe place to reveal the heart and mind confidentially, to inquire confidentially, to support each other, to clear the darkness of ignorance and connect with the highest guidance within, Krishna Supersoul within the heart. So this is text 5, Canto 10, Chapter 9. Before we close and open up for questions and discussion, I thought I'll just read the translations of a few of the previous verses from this chapter. Sri Shukadev Goswami continued, one day when Mother Yashoda saw that all the maidservants were engaged in other household affairs, she personally began to churn the yogurt. While churning, she remembered the childish activities of Krishna, and in her own way she composed songs and enjoyed singing to herself about all those activities. Dressed in a saffron yellow sari with a belt tied about her full hips, Mother Yashoda pulled on the churning rope, laboring considerably, her bangles and earrings moving and vibrating and her whole body shaking. Because of her intense love for her child, her breasts were wet with milk. Her face, with its very beautiful eyebrows, was wet with perspiration, and malati flowers were falling from her hair. While Mother Yashoda was churning butter, Lord Krishna, desiring to drink the milk of her breast, appeared before her, and in order to increase her transcendental pleasure, he caught hold of the churning rod and began to prevent her from churning. So Krishna is mischievous, naughty, all of that is to increase the love and affection of his devotees. That's what his pastimes are about, whether on the field of Kurukshetra or his running away from Mother Yashoda in fear, stealing the butter, dancing with the gopis. It's all to enhance the love of his devotees, and that includes us to the extent that we set an intention. Yes, I want to dedicate my life to develop my love for Krishna, and then hearing about these pastimes energizes and enthuses us in that. And then the verse we read and began to discuss today, text 5, Tan ankamarudamapayayatstanam snehasnutam sasmitam iksatimukam atriptam utsri jajavena sayaya putsichyamane payasi tvadishrite. Mother Yashoda then embraced Krishna, allowed him to sit down on her lap, and began to look upon the face of the Lord with great love and affection. Because of her intense affection, milk was flowing from her breast, but when she saw that the milk pan on the oven was boiling over, she immediately left her son to take care of the overflowing milk, although the child was not yet fully satisfied with drinking the milk of his mother's breast. Hare Krishna, thanks for hearing. I welcome at this time any comments, questions, realizations, if anyone would like to share, comment, or ask.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So today's class and also yesterday's class, I thought you must have some insight into my life and what's happening in my consciousness, because it's like every verse yesterday and today and the words are all speaking to my experience right now. So I'm very inspired and relieved and encouraged. Like it's there's so much to be managed right now in my
So
family
much to be
and
managed,
home,
yes.
and
Yeah.
preparing for a seminar and preparing for a celebration of the completion of coach training, and there's so much to manage. And this morning I was in distress and my nervous system was all so I thought I'll come here and listen to
Mm.
calm down. And then all like this, okay, there's transcendental management.
Yeah.
I don't need to worry so much about what to do first, because Krishna will give me the information from within, and it actually is true. Like when I listen inside, I know what to do, and I also notice when I'm doing the wrong thing first, which is not so important, like because then there's tension in my body and in my mind, and when I do what I'm supposed to be doing, then I yeah, I feel relaxed. And
I'm hearing you personally relate to Mother Yashoda here.
yes, yes, I do. And when you said um, we're meant to create a life where everything we choose is in service to Krishna, I thought, oh, that will make it even harder to choose.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I have a choice between doing something that is in service or I have something that's not, then it's easier to choose. But when all is good, then yeah, what do I choose? But I guess also then Krishna will give the guidance from within.
Yeah, well, that's Mother Yashoda's situation. Whether it's the milk on the stove or feeding Krishna, it's all for Krishna. And we can maybe relate to that. It's not that we want to imitate Mother Yashoda, but like, oh, okay, all right. So there's 45 minutes. Should I read Bhagavad Gita, chant chant some rounds of japa? And then also I have these 3 emails from someone who was asking me some philosophical questions based on Bhagavatam. So kind of like it's all wonderful. Like if those are my choices, in a sense, I can't make a mistake. At the same time, what's going to be most enthusing and enlivening, and then I could go into oh, it's so much anxiety. Let me just numb myself. So I'll go to the refrigerator and eat, even though I don't need to eat. Or I'll do doom scrolling for 2 hours just to numb like that. So then it becomes, then I'm opening up to things that no, this is not conducive for Krishna consciousness. Among those 3 first things, though, in a sense, I can't make a mistake. Still, I want to at least endeavor to like, okay, what's going to be most pleasing for Krishna and Srila Prabhupada in this 45 minutes?
Yes. Or driving to the store to get a wardrobe for my daughter. That sounds very material. but it's not. It's like a so something else that came to me when we were reading the translation of Damodarastakam,
Yes.
and that all, the month is all about remembering Krishna as a baby. I was memories came to me that when I first heard the song and read this lila was when I had babies. My children were just
Yeah.
born and 1, 2 years old, and I have such sweet memories of this time when they were small, and it was very
Yeah.
clear what my service was. Very clear. Um, yes, I was just appreciating how this came together in my life,
Mm.
learning about Krishna as a baby and having babies myself. And that makes it easier for me to remember. And I guess also to um, have some empathy with, some idea of what Mother Yashoda may be feeling and experiencing.
Thanks for that. Thanks for that, Anandini. Yeah, so interesting. And in your trajectory, your arc of life, you came upon this Damodarastakam, these pastimes, at the time when you had children, and yeah, and so yeah, so that um, deepened your empathy and entering there into the transcendental pastimes as inspiration to fulfill your mothering responsibilities, including now, 15 years later, taking care of your daughter's clothing and things like that. And in hearing your sharing, I'm reminded, yes, Satyavrata Muni, he's the revealer of Sri Damodarastakam. Yeah, he's talking about Krishna's, all he wants is to be absorbed in the vision of Mother Yashoda kissing Krishna's cheeks and Krishna stealing the butter. The most heavenly opulences, no interest. Even impersonal liberation, even Paramatma realization, no interest. All he wants is full absorption in these pastimes. Thanks for sharing. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Valerie.
Hare Krishna. I was told recently that Kartik is about the Rasa Leela and how Radharani has so much power and influence over Krishna. I've never heard that before. I'm curious if you'll speak on that.
Okay, you said Artik. Oh, Kartik. Yeah,
Kartik.
yeah. Well, yeah. So, well, it's described that Krishna is Madan Mohan. Madan is Cupid. Madan is Cupid, like that whole force of Cupid and that whole attractive force. And so Krishna attracts even Cupid. So Madan Mohan. So that's Krishna. He attracts even Cupid, who's the one who creates all this romantic attraction between all sorts of living entities. So Krishna's Madan Mohan, he attracts Cupid. And Srimati Radharani, she is Madan Mohan Mohini. She attracts the attractor of Cupid. So she's more powerful than Krishna. Yeah, she's more powerful than Krishna. So her love and devotion for Krishna, that's the most, she's the most powerful entity, most powerful force in creation. That's a name for Srimati Radharani. Madan Mohan Mohini. She attracts the attractor of Cupid, and that's through the force of the purity of her devotion. So that's the essence, and that principle is described elaborately in places, many places, Srimad Bhagavatam, many places in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Nectar of Devotion. So that's the essence.
And is Kartik about Radharani as well? I think maybe this was touched on the other morning.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, just like, here's the thing about Srimati Radharani. It's like, this is the just like, let's, as a metaphor, if we have like our most precious jewels, we're going to keep them hidden. Maybe in special appropriate circumstances, we'll bring out the most precious, cherished jewels, just like the most cherished jewels. Maybe we'll bring them out in particular circumstances, and so they're not to be brought out in a way that's considered like cheaply. They're cherished, they're protected, and so that's why, like, Valerie, as far as the what's your source for that? What's your source for that, Valerie?
A friend told me that, and so yeah, I was just taking that information with a grain of salt because I wasn't sure if it was true.
Yeah, well, of course, Kartik is about Srimati Radharani, and we approach, actually, yeah, Kartik. I prefer the month of Damodar. Like, so I'm understanding Srimati Radharani and how to approach her through my current link to the Parampara, Srila Prabhupada. We read here, so that, O Lord, Rachel read this a few minutes ago. O Lord, the entire universe was created by Lord Brahma, who was born from your abdomen, which was bound with a rope by Mother Yashoda. To this rope I offer my humble obeisances. I offer my obeisances to your most beloved Srimati Radharani and to your unlimited pastime. So, yeah, in a way that's cherished. So, Lord Sri Damodar, his most beloved is Srimati Radharani. His most beloved is Srimati Radharani. So, of course, everything about Krishna, everything about Vrindavan is imbued with the love and the personhood and the devotion of Srimati Radharani.
Thank you.
Bhakti, well, Rosa, you had your hand.
So, talking about multitasking just makes me think about my time in corporate life.
Yeah.
So a lot of mundane things and my social endeavors and how I would spread myself so thin amongst many things without focus, right? There's the verse and the purport in the Bhagavad Gita. I wish I could remember which one, where it talks about a person who will overextend themselves, right? And have many, be of a many focused mind.
Yeah. Bhogeshwara Prasaktanam Taya Parita Chetasam. Krishna talks about being multi-branched rather than focused. Yeah.
And then so I find inspiration in this, thinking, well, I mean, it is a singular focus. It's all for Krishna.
Yeah.
But in that singular focus, we can have many endeavors. And what clarity there is whenever it has a single purpose.
Yeah. When there's single purpose. That thanks for that. That's Prabhupada's focus. He emphasizes that in the purport, that the single focus is Krishna. We can look at Srila Prabhupada. Single focus is serving Sri Radha Krishna. And he's publishing books. He's writing thousands of letters to guide his students, and he's of course immersed in chanting and Harinam Sankirtan, starting Ratiyatra and developing the Bhaktivedanta Institute and the Krishna consciousness farm communities and like that, all for Krishna. That's the reference point.
And so what I'm saying is that in the past, where I have found myself stretched too thin, disempowered, and just exhausted, I've thought, I can't possibly continue. In hearing today, I find renewed hope in my ability, to the extent of my sincerity for serving a single purpose, that I will come back to feeling empowerment.
You're feeling renewed hope. Okay, because as far as the multitasking in corporate world and whatever personal life, they're just draining, and like you're exhausted, beyond exhausted. And I'm like, oh, okay, all right, yeah, focus in, accept diverse services for Srila Prabhupada's mission. Ah, okay, now I'm feeling hope and enlivened. This is enlivening for the soul. It's not just crushing.
Enlivened, enthusiastic devotion, right? The things that we care most for, instead of let me try this and let me go here and what about over here, and it's all very like uncertain.
I appreciate hearing your realizations as you're immersing in the process of bhakti yoga, Krishna consciousness. Thank you, Rose. Hare Krishna. Nitai Lina.
I don't think it's relevant anymore. I won't.
You're choosing not to?
Back.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Any other comments, questions, sharing at this time? Anandini.
Yeah, since there's time and no one else. I have a question more general about Srimad Bhagavatam. You mentioned Srila Vyasadeva as the author of Srimad Bhagavatam, or the compiler of Srimad Bhagavatam.
Yeah.
And at the beginning of the first canto, Vyasadeva seems to be writing about himself.
Yeah.
So could you give some explanation, like what? And it seems that he's writing about the future and the past and the present, and the whole structure of Srimad Bhagavatam, it's not linear. There's like, we hear something from the future and then a bit from the past. And what is your understanding on that?
Thanks for that, Anandini. Okay, the Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeah, so it starts with Om Namo. It starts with Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Janma Yasya Yaton Vayadi Tirtayesh Tratesha Abhigeshu Sarat. So the first three verses of Bhagavatam, that's like Vyasadeva's invocation. That's the invocation verses. Okay. And then he goes on to talk about the sages at Namesharanya. And generally throughout the 12 cantos, it's not like Western linear history. It is all historical. At the same time, it's like different historical events, maybe from 5,000 years ago, maybe from billions or trillions of years ago, maybe from different universes. And Vyasadeva and Shukadeva Goswami, they're choosing to narrate different historical events with a purpose, again, not just like a Western, like a history course, to enhance our self-realization and our devotion and our inspiration to serve Krishna, the ultimate goal. Atovai Kavio Nityam, the ultimate goal to dedicate ourselves to serve Krishna. So they're choosing whatever historical events will serve that purpose. So that's one point. And then Vyasadeva, yeah, he's revealing the Bhagavatam, Chakre Satvata Samhita. He's revealing the Bhagavatam, and just like sometimes he'll talk about through Shukadeva Goswami, he'll talk about. He'll talk about Maitreya and Vidura, Mother Yashoda and Krishna. He'll speak about the Ashvatthama and the Brahmastra, the nuclear weapons. Sometimes Vyasadeva, he'll talk in third person about Vyasadeva. Vyasadeva will write, and then there was this scene about 5,000 years ago on the banks of the river Sarasvati, where Vyasadeva spoke with his spiritual teacher, Narada Muni, and Vyasadeva went into Bhakti Yoga Namanasi Samyak Panite. Vyasadeva went into a trance of bhakti around the berry bushes while at his very scenic, attractive hut on the bank of the Sarasvati and all the bushes. So sometimes he'll talk in the third person about Vyasadeva. That's what he does.
And also about the future, it seems like as he's compiling, Sutta Goswami hasn't spoken yet, right?
He's compiling after Shukadeva Goswami has spoken. At the same time, it's true. He does talk about the future. For example, third chapter, first canto, seventh chapter, second canto, Vyasadeva talks about the incarnation of the Buddha. That hasn't happened yet. 12th canto, Vyasadeva talks about the incarnation of Kalki. That's hundreds of thousands of years away. So he does talk about the future. At the same time, he is compiling and revealing after Shukadev Goswami has spoken to Maharaj Parikshit on the banks of the Ganges, and after Sutta Goswami and the sages at Namesharanya have discussed Bhagavatam. So the sages at Namesharanya, they're discussing about Shukadev Goswami speaking to Maharaj Parikshit. My estimate maybe 40, 50 years later, something like that. And so those conversations have already happened, and then Vyasadeva is coming on and narrating it. And in that narration, so when he talks about the sages at Namesharanya and Shukadev Goswami and Maharaj Parikshit on the banks of the Ganges, he's talking about past events, recently past, maybe just a few years or a few dozen years. And it's true, he does talk about events thousands and hundreds of thousands of years into the future. That's true too.
So he revealed Srimad Bhagavatam to Shukadev Goswami by word.
Okay, so
Shukadev Goswami is the son of Vyasadeva.
he is, yes, and so right, and Vyasadeva talks about him revealing the Bhagavatam to us. Also, Shukadev Goswami heard Bhagavatam because Shukadev Goswami he was in the womb of his mother, who was the wife of Vyasadeva, and Shukadev Goswami was a completely realized soul, and so he, like in the womb, he was like, I don't want to deal with the material context. Like I don't want to get involved here. And so, like pregnancy's like 9 months. He's like, I'm not coming out. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. So he stayed in the womb for 16 years. It's described. We can just be empathic with his mother, whatever. That's a whole nother convert. But he stayed in the womb for 16 years. But then Krishna personally came. And it was like, he's talking to Shukadeva in the room, like in the womb. Like, you've got a special mission here. You've got a special mission. So like, you need to come out. You need to come out. And then, so Shukadeva Goswami came out. And then, this is described in Canto 2, Chapter 1, Canto 1, a little bit in Chapter 7, Canto 1, 7, 2.1. Then Shukadeva Goswami, so he just kind of went away. And then that becomes the pastime where Shukadeva Goswami is walking away and Vyasadeva is sort of like running after him. And there are the damsels in the pond swimming. And then when Shukadeva Goswami passes, they don't even bother to cover themselves because they just get like, he is so transcendental, he's not even noticing different gender forms. He's just like no material conception. And then when his father, Vyasadeva, and Vyasadeva is this great realized sage, compiler of the Vedas, when Vyasadeva passes by, the damsels cover themselves because Vyasadeva's in the Grahastha ashram. So Shukadeva Goswami is just like so beyond any material influence, and he's completely transcendental. And then it's described, Atmaramastra Nirvanti Apyaru Krame Kravantya Hetu Ki Bhakti Mitam Bhutogu Nohari. Shukadeva Goswami, completely transcendental to any gross or subtle material contamination. And then somewhere in the forest, he hears some devotees of Krishna chanting Bhagavatam. I think about the rasa dance, the rasa dance. And some other pastimes from the 10th canto, and he becomes attracted. Again, he has no attraction to anything material, and then and so he's so he's hearing, and then he becomes attracted to Krishna, Krishna's pastimes. And then my understanding is, then he goes back to his father and hears the complete Bhagavatam, and then he speaks it to Maharaj Parikshit. And so and this is described that Vyasadeva revealed the Bhagavatam more than once. He revealed it more than once. There's, again, first chapter, second canto, this is described in some detail. He revealed it more than once. So he reveals it to Shukadev, yes. And then after Shukadev speaks to Maharaj Parikshit, and after Sutta Goswami ordered from Shukadev, after Sutta Goswami speaks at Namaisharanya, after that is when Vyasadeva compiles it, starting with Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So Shukadeva Goswami heard some of Bhagavatam in the forest. He heard it completely from Vyasadeva. There's a place in that second canto, first chapter, where it's described that Vyasadeva revealed the Bhagavatam, and then he not that there were mistakes, but then he expanded it. So it's like there's more than one revelation of Bhagavatam. Even earlier in yesterday we read third canto, eighth chapter. Earlier in the eighth chapter, it's described there's a Bhagavatam revealed to the Kumaras from some of the sages. So it's all one. Sometimes there's like, okay, Bhagavatam 30 volumes. That is a very, very, very partial biography of the personality of Godhead, right? There could be an higher planetary Bhagavatam 300 volumes, 3 million volumes.
Thank you. That's very helpful. And it's very sweet that Shukadev Goswami didn't want to go out, and Krishna came personally and said, "Come on, you have some service to do."
Yeah, very sweet. Well, sweet. It's described. The third verse of Bhagavatam, Nigama Kalpatarur Galitam Plam Sukhamukharam Vitadrava Samitam Pibata Bhagavatam Vasamalayam Moraho Vasikam Bhuvi Bhavuka. Relish Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the ripened fruit, which is the ripened mature fruit of the desire tree of Vedic literatures. It emanated from the lips of Sri Shukadeva Goswami, and thus has become even sweeter and is relishable even for conditioned souls. So Shuka means parrot, but not parrot in the sense of just like, blindly repeating like a parrot. But a parrot apparently has a quality. A parrot has a quality that when it puts its beak in a fruit, the fruit becomes even sweeter. And so Shukadeva Goswami, he got the Bhagavatam from his dad, Vyasadeva, and then him revealing Bhagavatam makes it even sweeter. And I feel confident to say, and us getting Bhagavatam from Srila Prabhupada, even sweeter. Srimad Bhagavatam ki.
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki. Shri Radha Damodar ki. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.